parts of the world. Dear friends, it is my greatest honor to welcome you once again to this Back to the Vedas series. And tonight we have a young lady that is quite an outstanding academic and also a professional. But I think before we start, and with our guest speaker for this evening, can I ask all of you to please bow your heads or to be in a space of Almighty Paramatma, and let us just pray for this cold spell to end and also for whatever we have received. Swa Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayaan. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavadhi Tamastu Ma Vidvishavahe. Om Shantihi Shantihi Shantihi. Dear friends, a very warm welcome once again. Today our topic for discussion is South Africa, law and equality. A very interesting topic, and this has been, a theme has been created for a couple of sessions, and as you would have observed that we have been speaking on different aspects of equality and also justice and the role that our Arya Samaj has been playing in bringing a shift and a change to many areas. But today we have a legal brain that's with us this evening. We have Pandit Prasheen Singh, who is an attorney and conveyancer who practices for her own account as the founder, who practices, as we have here, for her own account as the founder of Prasheen Singh Attorneys. Beyond her legal career, Prasheen is married to Suriyaprakash Singh and is a proud mother of 2 sons. I must say I've heard one son play musical instruments and he's quite accomplished. She continues to honor the legacy of her grandparents, Mr. and Mrs Ramnath Audan, who were founding members of the Port Shepstone Arya Samaj, through her active involvement in the organization. And as a qualified pandit, she is dedicated to preserving and promoting Vedic values while serving her community with humility and compassion. Prasheen also has another side to her which I think is very important to share. Besides being a legal eagle, as they say, and out there fighting for justice and fighting for her clients, she has a truly human side. And sometimes when you read through some of the activities that she does or has been active in, you wonder where she finds the time. She loves reading, shopping, which I think most women love to do, shopping, and being a professional nag to her family. The scientific side of her is absolutely amazing because she loves experimenting in the kitchen and putting baking and cooking skills to her test. But one thing that actually struck me is that being a professional and a legal eagle, she also loves to play with the PlayStation. I think that also gives her a little escape from reality, and also it allows her to de-stress, especially playing with the games. But one other thing is that you can see she loves and she chooses combat games, so she's not going to take anything hands down. Dear friends, let us welcome Pandit Prasheen Singh, our presenter for today, and she's going to take us through a very interesting topic, South African law and equality. Over to you, Prasheen.
Namaste, everybody. Thank you, Panditji, for that very lovely introduction. And I think which woman doesn't like shopping? And I think this month, because it's Women's Month, all of us females need to be treated to an extra shopping spree. Without any further ado, I'm going to get on with my address for the evening. I think at the outset, thank you for having invited me to share a little of the knowledge that I have gained with you all this evening. It's indeed a profound honor and a privilege to present a reflection on the subjects that lie at the very heart of both our democratic society and our ancient Vedic heritage, which is law, equality, and justice. So this evening, I wear not two caps, but two gowns. One being a black gown in my professional capacity, and the other a blue gown in my capacity as a community servant spreading the spirituality of the Vedas as a Vedic Purohit. I've been blessed to serve in both vocations, in that, although very different in their application, pursue the very same noble objective, the pursuit of justice. As an attorney, I have dedicated my professional life to upholding the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, respecting the rule of law, and assisting those who seek justice through our legal system. As a Vedic priest, I've devoted myself to studying and teaching the eternal wisdom of the Vedas, encouraging people to live lives founded on truth, righteousness, compassion, and selfless service. Over the years, I've often reflected on how these two callings complement each other. And one, I've learned, serves justice through the courts, and the other inspires justice through conscience. One provides a legal framework for society, and the other provides a moral and spiritual framework for humanity. Together, they remind us that true justice is achieved not only when laws are enforced, but when hearts are transformed. Our Constitution is one of the finest legal documents in the world. It was born from a very difficult history and represents our nation's commitment to human dignity, equality, freedom, and the rule of law. The Vedas, among the oldest sacred scriptures known to humanity, also call upon us to uphold the truth, righteousness, and respect for every human being. Although one is constitutionally a document and the other a sacred revelation, both recognize a profound truth. No society can flourish without justice, integrity, and respect for the dignity of every person. As a Purohit, I don't sit before you merely as a custodian of rituals or ceremonies. My role, as that of other Purohits, is much deeper. We seek truth, impart knowledge, promote righteousness, and encourage society to live according to Dharma, drawing an equal balance between materialism and spiritualism. South Africa is founded upon one of the world's most progressive constitutions. Emerging from a painful history of division and discrimination, our constitutional democracy is built upon the values of human dignity, equality, freedom, and the rule of law. Section 9 of the Constitution, which is also known as the Equality Clause, guarantees that everyone is equal before the law and has the right to equal protection and benefit of the law. It rejects unfair discrimination and affirms that every individual possesses inherent worth. Although the Constitution is a modern legal document, its commitment to justice echoes ideals that have inspired humanity for thousands of years. The Vedas, among the oldest sacred texts in the world, encourages us to seek truth, righteousness, and harmony. They teach that truth should guide our actions and that righteousness, or dharma, forms the foundation of a just society. While the Vedas are spiritual texts rather than legal codes, they emphasize that every person should be treated with fairness, respect, and compassion. South African law and Vedic tradition arise from very different contexts. One is the law of constitutional democracy, enforceable by courts, and the other is a spiritual tradition that guides moral and ethical living. Yet, both recognize that society flourishes when justice, integrity, and respect for others prevail. The Sanskrit word dharma cannot simply be translated as religion. Dharma is righteousness. It is duty and a moral responsibility. It is justice. It's living in harmony with truth and with the divine order established by Paramatma. Thousands of years before modern constitutions were drafted, the Vedas taught humanity that society can flourish only when truth, justice, and righteousness become the foundation upon which individuals build their lives. Likewise, South Africa's constitution begins with a commitment to heal the divisions of the past, establish a society based on democratic values, social justice, and fundamental human rights, and improve the quality of life of all citizens. Although separated by thousands of years and written entirely in different historical contexts, there are remarkable similarities between these principles. The Constitution governs the legal relationship between citizens and the state. The Vedas govern the moral relationship between humanity and the Creator. One regulates conduct through law, and the other transforms conduct through wisdom. When law and morality walk together, society prospers. When they become separated, justice begins to disappear. The Rig Veda proclaims, Ano Bhadraha Pratavo Yantu Vishvataha, meaning, let noble thoughts come to us from every direction. This beautiful verse reminds us that wisdom is not confined to one nation, one people, or one generation. Truth belongs to everyone. Justice belongs to everyone. Human dignity belongs to everyone. And this is precisely what our Constitution recognizes. Section 1 declares that South Africa is founded on the values of human dignity, equality, and freedom. If you notice the order, human dignity comes first. Because when we recognize the dignity of another human being, equality naturally follows. When equality is respected, freedom becomes meaningful. And this mirrors the Vedic understanding that every human being possesses intrinsic worth because each individual is a creation of the Supreme Lord. Because when we recognize, the Yajurveda teaches us that God is impartial. The sun shines on everyone. The rain falls on every nation. The air gives life without discrimination. And nature itself teaches equality. If God himself makes no distinction between race, language, wealth, or social standing, who are we to discriminate against another human being? Sadly, history tells us that mankind has often forgotten this truth, and South Africa knows this pain all too well. For many decades, laws existed which divided people according to race. Human beings were denied opportunities simply because of the color of their skin. Families were separated. Communities were displaced. Education was unequal. Justice often inaccessible. Human dignity was denied. And the Vedas reject such injustices. The truth cannot coexist with oppression, and dharma cannot coexist with discrimination. The Atharva Veda declares that the earth belongs equally to all who dwell upon her. No individual possesses greater humanity than another, and no race possesses greater worth than another. Neither does that community is one community more deserving of justice than another. Everyone is entitled to respect. This ancient wisdom finds remarkable expression in Section 9 of our Constitution. It provides that everyone is equal before the law and has the right to equal protection and equal benefit of the law. Notice that it doesn't merely state that people are equal. It commands that the law itself must treat people equally. And this is a profound responsibility that's placed upon judges, lawyers, police officers, public officials, and of course, every citizen. In the same way as we as attorneys may argue a case before a court, so too every Vedic follower stands before the court of conscience every day. Our judge is our own conduct. Our evidence is our actions. Our judgment is written in the lives that we touch. The Vedas repeatedly remind us that our character is our greatest testimony. One may possess wealth, education, and influence, yet without righteousness, those achievements become empty. The greatest measure of civilization is not found in skyscrapers or in technology. Rather, it's found in how we treat the weakest amongst us. Do we protect the vulnerable? Do we uplift the poor? Do we defend the oppressed? Do we speak the truth when lies are easier? These questions lie at the heart of both constitutional democracy and Vedic philosophy. The Constitution gives us rights, and the Vedas remind us of responsibilities. A society obsessed only with rights soon becomes divided. A society committed to both rights and responsibilities becomes truly just. The Veda teaches us, Sarve bhavantu sukhinaha, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukha bhag bhavet. May all be happy. May all be free from illness. May all experience goodness, and may none suffer. Notice that this prayer does not ask for blessings upon one religion. It does not ask for prosperity for one nation. It does not seek happiness for one community alone. Rather, it embraces the whole of humanity and all living beings, animals included. The spirit of universal goodwill resonates deeply with the vision of a democratic South Africa, a nation where people of every race, religion, language, and culture are equal before the law and united in dignity. Dear friends, equality is not merely a legal principle. It's a sacred duty. It begins not in parliament, it begins in our homes, our temples, in our schools, and in our hearts. So only when we recognize the divine light within every human being can we truly fulfill both aspirations of our Constitution and the timeless teachings of the Vedas. Having reflected upon the constitutional values of South Africa and the eternal principles of the Vedas, let's now consider another profound question. What is justice? Many people think justice is merely the decision of the court. Others believe justice is achieved when the guilty is punished. While these are also important aspects of the legal system, the Vedic understanding reaches much deeper. Justice begins long before one reaches the courtroom. As I stated earlier, justice begins in the heart. The Vedas teach that every thought gives rise to an action. Every action shapes our character, and our character influences the society in which we live. A nation of righteous people requires fewer laws because its citizens are guided by conscience. The South African legal system recognizes that the law cannot regulate every aspect of human behavior. While legislation and the courts provide a framework for justice, it is ultimately the integrity of the individuals that determines whether justice flourishes. And this is where the Constitution and the Vedas beautifully complement one another. The Constitution establishes the rule of law, and the Vedas cultivate the rule of conscience. One governs our external conduct, and the other transforms our internal character. The Ajurveda reminds us, Satyam Vara, Dharmam Chara. Speak the truth, walk in righteousness. And these simple words contain a lifetime of wisdom. Because truth is not merely avoiding lies. It means honesty in our business dealings, fairness in our workplaces, transparency in government, and integrity in our professions. So whether we are legal professionals, teachers, doctors, engineers, business owners, priests, or public servants, truth is the foundation upon which trust is built. As an attorney, I've witnessed that laws function best when people act honestly. Contracts become meaningful when parties negotiate in good faith. Estates are administered properly when executors act faithfully. Property transfers occur smoothly when professionals uphold ethical standards. And justice is not sustained by legislation alone. It depends on the integrity of those who administer it. Likewise, as a Purohit, I understand that rituals alone cannot create righteousness. Similarly, holding the title alone does not demonstrate righteousness. A person may perform elaborate ceremonies, yet if they harbor prejudice, dishonesty, or hatred, they have missed the true purpose of the Vedas. The Vedas therefore call us to transformation, not merely tradition. The Constitution calls us to equality, not merely tolerance. Equality is therefore misunderstood. It doesn't mean that every individual possesses the same talents or follows the same path in life. Rather, equality means that every person possesses the same inherent human dignity and deserves equal protection under the law. The Constitution recognizes that every citizen, regardless of race, religion, gender, language, disability, or social background, deserves fairness and respect. And this aligns with the fundamental Vedic principle that every human being is worthy of respect because we are all children of the same Supreme Creator. Rig Veda proclaims, Ekam Sat Vipra Bahuda Vadanti. Truth is one. The wise describe it in many ways. And this verse has inspired generations to appreciate diversity while seeking unity. It reminds us that although people may differ in culture, language, and belief, we can still pursue the truth together. And South Africa is one of the most culturally diverse nations in the world. Our diversity is not our weakness, it's our strength. We may speak different languages, worship in many different ways, come from different traditions, yet we stand together under one constitution. Similarly, the Vedic ideal of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the world is one family, encourages us to look beyond our differences and recognize our shared humanity. When we view one another as members of one human family, discrimination loses its power, hatred loses its voice, and compassion becomes our common language. Our Constitution protects freedom of religion, recognizing that people may worship according to their own conscience. And this freedom is precious. It allows people of every faith, or none at all, to live together peacefully. The Vedas support respectful dialogue and peaceful coexistence. They encourage us to share wisdom without coercion and to uphold the truth with humility. The Vedas remind us that every right carries a corresponding duty, which we all know as dharma. And dharma is not imposed by force. It's embraced through wisdom. It's choosing honesty when dishonesty appears easier. It's choosing compassion over cruelty and choosing forgiveness over revenge. The greatest leaders in history were not remembered because they possessed power. They are remembered because they possessed character. And some of these traits are possessed by Ram, Krishna, Arjuna, and Vidura, and many, many more characters from our scriptures. Their actions and responses to situations in the respective scriptures where they were referenced demonstrates their commitment to leading righteous lives and upholding dharma for the greater good of humanity. Without going into too much detail, we can remind ourselves of the lessons that we learned from some of these prominent figures. Ram taught us how to be dutiful and be a righteous leader. Krishna taught us how to confront our dharma. Arjuna taught us how to courageously fulfill our duty. Vidura taught us how to speak truth to power. Our country and the world does not simply need more educated people. It needs more ethical people. It needs leaders whose decisions are guided not by intelligence, but by integrity. And the Vedas teach that a leader must serve people rather than seek personal gain. Likewise, our Constitution requires public officials to act transparently, responsibly, and in public interest. When leadership is grounded in righteousness, communities flourish. And when leadership is corrupted by greed, injustice follows. Therefore, when we serve in a government, legal profession, business, education, or religious institutions, we must constantly ask ourselves, are my decisions promoting justice? Are we protecting the vulnerable? Are we treating every person with fairness? Are we living according to the letter of the law and the spirit of righteousness? And these are not merely legal questions, they are spiritual questions. They are questions that each of us must answer every day. As Vedic followers, we pray not only for our own success, but for the welfare of all people. When our neighbors prosper through justice, we all prosper. When one community suffers discrimination, the entire nation is diminished. And the Vedas remind us that harmony is achieved when each individual contributes to the well-being of society. Likewise, the Constitution envisions South Africa where every citizen participates in building a nation founded on dignity, equality, and freedom. May we never see these principles as abstract ideals. May we live them in our homes, our workplaces, our temples, and our communities. For when dharma guides our hearts and justice guides our institutions, we move closer to the society envisioned by both our Constitution and the timeless wisdom of our Vedas. From time immemorial, we've had the guidance of the Manusmriti, which is a form of code by which we should live our lives. But for today's talk, I'm only going to focus on the aspect of succession and how the Manusmriti was able to guide man to distribute his wealth upon his death. It was, of course, written in a very different time, where extended families lived communally. The father was directed to share his wealth proportionately amongst his children, with the idea that the eldest should get the largest percentage, as he had the responsibility to take care of the entire family and the household expenses. While it makes financial sense by today's standards, lives are led very differently today. But the laws of succession ensure that descendants are all catered for in the absence of a will from the testator. Even with the guidance in drafting a will, children who are adopted or who are born out of wedlock are treated equally as biologically children would be. There is equality in distribution. And this is another example of how the scriptures and today's laws demonstrate similarities. As we continue our reflection on the relationship between South African law and the timeless wisdom of the Vedas, we must now reconsider one of the greatest achievements of our democracy, reconciliation. Many nations have emerged from conflict through revenge. South Africa chose a different path. Our nation chose reconciliation. And this choice was not a sign of weakness. It was an act of extraordinary courage. True reconciliation does not erase the past. It acknowledges the suffering, seeks justice, restores dignity, and builds hope for the future. It asks us not to forget history, but to learn from it so that future generations never repeat it. As Hindus, we should find this principle deeply familiar. The Vedas teach that hatred cannot create peace, and anger cannot produce harmony. Lasting peace is established only through truth, righteousness, self-restraint, and compassion. The very last mantra in the Vedas set out aptly captures the essence of all Vedic teachings in one line. Om Samaniva Akutihi Samana Hridayaniva Samanam Astu Vomano Yathava Susahasati. May your intentions be united. May your hearts be united. May your minds work together in harmony. How remarkable that thousands of years ago, the Vedas called on humanity to unite, not in appearance, language, or culture, but in purpose. And South Africa reflects this ideal. We are often described as the rainbow nation. The rainbow is beautiful not because every color is the same, but because the different colors exist together in harmony. Likewise, our nation does not ask us to abandon our identities. Rather, it invites us to celebrate our diversity while remaining united by shared commitment to justice, equality, and freedom. Many people speak of Ubuntu, the African philosophy expressed in words, I am because we are. Although Ubuntu developed within the rich traditions of Africa, its spirit resonates deeply with Vedic philosophy. The Vedas teach that humanity is interconnected. Our well-being is bound to the well-being of others. When one member of society suffers injustice, the entire community is diminished. Our Constitution protects not only those who think like us, worship like us, or live like us. It protects every person equally. And this is one of the greatest strengths of our democracy. As a Purohit, I therefore believe that defending the constitutional rights of others, even those whose beliefs differ from mine, is entirely consistent with the spirit of the Vedas. Our Constitution protects not only those who think like us or worship like us, it protects every person equally. Justice loses its meaning if it's reserved only for those with whom we agree. And the Vedas place tremendous emphasis on the role of family. The home is the first school. Parents are the first teachers. And children not only learn from what we say, but what we do. So if we speak about equality while practicing discrimination in our home, our children will follow our example rather than our words. If we preach honesty while acting dishonestly, they will learn hypocrisy instead of integrity. The future of South Africa will not be determined only in Parliament or the courts. It will also be shaped by our families around the dinner tables, in classrooms, in places of worship, and in our daily interactions with each other. And this places a great responsibility upon parents, educators, and spiritual leaders. We must raise children who understand both their constitutional rights and their moral responsibilities. Teach them to respect people of every race, culture, and religion. We must encourage them to reject prejudice, corruption, and violence. We must inspire them to become citizens who contribute positively to society, because young people are not merely the leaders of tomorrow, they are leaders today. And the choices they make now will determine the future character of our nation. The Vedas encourage young people to pursue knowledge with humility, discipline, and perseverance. Education is not simply the acquisition of information. True education develops wisdom. It cultivates discernment. It forms character. And South Africa's Constitution similarly recognizes education as a fundamental right, because an educated population strengthens democracy and promotes equality. Knowledge empowers people to overcome poverty, challenge injustice, and contribute meaningfully to society. Yet knowledge without values can become dangerous. History has shown us that highly educated individuals have sometimes committed great injustice because their intelligence was not guided by morality. Therefore, the Vedas remind us that education must always be accompanied by ethics. And wisdom is knowledge applied for the benefit of humanity. Another pillar of constitutional democracy and Vedic philosophy is respect for women. So, with us celebrating Women's Month in August, it would be prudent to draw your attention to the stance of our law and the Vedas and what they take on women. Swami Dayanand Saraswati was a great proponent for respect and equality of women in society. He promoted the empowerment of women through education and thus enabled them to participate in intellectual debate and spiritual inquiry, demonstrating that wisdom and virtue are confined not only to one gender. Swamiji also encouraged the eradication of discrimination of women based on marital status. Although it took a few hundred years, it is the same perspective that our laws demonstrate today. Our Constitution guarantees equality between men and women and prohibits discrimination on the basis of gender. As a society, we must continue striving to eliminate gender-based violence, abuse, and discrimination. No community can claim to uphold dharma while tolerating violence against women and children. Protecting the vulnerable is both a constitutional duty and a sacred obligation. Perhaps now is as good a time as any to remind ourselves that anything a man can do, woman can do, only better. When we feed the hungry, comfort the grieving, defend the oppressed, educate the young, and care for the elderly, we honor God not only with our prayers, but with our actions. Service is dharma in practice, and justice is compassion in action. Equality is love expressed through fairness. Let us build communities where every child feels valued, where every woman feels safe, and every elderly person is treated with respect. Where every individual, regardless of race, religion, or background, knows that they belong. This is not only the vision of the Constitution, but it's a timeless vision of the Vedas, where a society founded on truth, righteousness, compassion, and the unwavering recognition of the dignity of every human being. As we come to the conclusion, let's reflect on one final and important truth. A constitution, no matter how well written, cannot by itself create a just nation. Likewise, the Vedas, no matter how sacred, cannot transform society if they remain only in the pages of a book. The Constitution must be lived, the Vedas must be lived, and justice is not created in our courts, it's created in our homes. Equality is not protected by legislation, it's protected by the choices that we make every day. The rule of law is essential to every democracy. It ensures that no person is above the law and that every person is accountable. As South Africans, we should be proud that our Constitution stands as a beacon of hope founded on human dignity, equality, freedom, and the rule of law. As Hindus, we should also remember that the Vedas call us to a life of satya, truth, dharma, righteousness, daya, compassion, ahimsa, non-violence, and seva, service. When these constitutional values and Vedic virtues are practiced together, they strengthen one another. The law protects, provides justice, and dharma provides conscience. The law protects society from injustice, and dharma inspires people not to commit injustice in the first place. Imagine a South Africa where every business person refuses corruption because dharma guides them, where every public servant places honesty before personal gain, where every parent teaches children that prejudice has no place in our homes, where every religious leader encourages peace rather than division, where every citizen recognizes that equality is not simply a legal obligation, but a moral one. This is not an impossible dream. It begins with each one of us. And the Vedas teach that great change begins with individual transformation. Every righteous action, however small, contributes to the well-being of society. If we speak kindly, we strengthen peace. If we act honestly, we strengthen justice. If we serve selflessly, we strengthen our communities. If we respect one another, we strengthen our nation. These qualities or characteristics are emulated in the actions of Vibhishan, the brother of Ravana in the Ramayana. Vibhishan was able to overcome his social upbringing, where his siblings strayed from the path of righteousness. He was able to distinguish right from wrong and chose the right path. And in so doing, he went against his kingdom, fighting against injustices fearlessly. South Africa has traveled a remarkable journey, and we have experienced hardship, injustice, and division, but we've also demonstrated resilience, forgiveness, and hope. Responsibility now rests with us, not merely to celebrate our Constitution, not merely to admire the wisdom of the Vedas, but to allow both to shape our daily lives. To be a faithful Hindu is to be an ethical citizen. To honor God is to honor truth, and to honor truth is to honor justice. To honor justice is to honor every human being created by Paramatma. In this regard, we can take a leaf out of Ram and Sita's book, where they lived not only for each other, but for the benefit and growth of their kingdom. Our temples, therefore, should be places where equality is practiced. Our homes should be places where dignity is protected. The workplaces should be places where honesty prevails, and our communities should be places where compassion is visible. Our nation should therefore be a place where every person, regardless of race, religion, language, gender, or social standing, feels respected, protected, and valued. The Rig Veda gives us one of the most inspiring messages ever written. Sangachatvam, samvadadvam, samvo manamsi janatam. Walk together, speak together, and let your minds be united. And how fitting are these words for South Africa? Walk together, not as different races competing against each other, but as one nation. Speak together, not with hatred or suspicion, but with respect and understanding. So let our minds be united, not because we are all the same, but because we all share same commitment to justice, dignity, and peace. As we shut down our devices this evening, may we remember that the Constitution gives us rights and our laws give us direction. The Vedas remind us how to use those rights wisely to steer us in the direction of righteousness. The Constitution protects our freedoms, and the Vedas teaches us responsibility. The Constitution gives us equality before the law, and the Vedas call us to equality of the heart. If we embrace both, we will build stronger families, stronger communities, and a stronger South Africa. I remind you to remember the essence of the prayer from the Yajurveda, one that is very familiar to all of us, a prayer that transcends religion, culture, and nationality. That prayer is the Shanti Path. May God bless our nation. May He guide our judges with wisdom. May He strengthen our lawmakers with integrity. May He inspire our leaders with humility. May He bless every family with harmony. May He protect every child. May He comfort all those who suffer. And may He grant us all the courage to uphold justice, the wisdom to pursue the truth, and the compassion to treat every person with dignity and equality. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Thank you very much, Prasheen. An amazing presentation, and the research that you've put into this presentation this evening has given us a beautiful insight in terms of marrying our constitution, the South African constitution, which is regarded as one of the best in the world. But what you were able to do was to bring out the Vedic knowledge and the Vedas, and you were able to marry both and bring it out to the fore so that we could live a righteous life, but a just life, and also to be upright citizens in this country. I thank you for the research that you have done, and also bringing in certain characters from other itihasas which also is held dear to many a folk in South Africa. So I would like to just open up the forum and see if anybody would like to ask a question, or if you typed any questions or comments. I'm going to go into the chat and let's see if there's any comments. Arya Samaj South Africa, despite the commitment to equality, we witness gender-based violence. As a Vedic priest and an attorney, what are your suggestions to our organizations and leaders to work on this? And then we also have another comment. You can maybe respond to both. The recent crisis in South Africa linked to foreign nationals brings into question the constitutional commitment to equality and equal treatment. What can the Arya Samaj do to promote respect for all humans? I would just say that you did mention it in terms of your presentation in various aspects, and you referred to the Vedas in terms of equality and honoring people and respect. But I would like you to give us some sort of comment on the two comments that were sent to us. And we also have one from Pandit Shireen Bihadar, and she says, what an excellent presentation. So I'm going to go back to you, Prasheen, and see if you want to just give us a short comment on the two messages that we received.
Yeah, I'll try and get to it, Paniji. With regards to the first question, which speaks to us in organizations and our leadership in organizations and how we can curb gender-based violence, I think there again it's education. So we need to share knowledge, maybe have little seminars, maybe have a little talk wherever we can and whenever we can to educate our community. And that would obviously explain to them. A lot of people do still feel that there are differences between the two genders, and that needs to be eradicated. And the only way that that can be done is through education. So if we have little talks or little programs where we can educate the people as best as we can, I think that will assist in minimizing the gender-based violence cases that we see coming through on our media. And then I see, with regards to the foreign nationals and our commitment to equality, equality in the Constitution talks about race, about religion, about social standing, about society, gender. It doesn't talk about persons as in different culture or different countries, from different countries coming into our country. So when our Constitution talks about equality, we are talking about the type of people that we have in our country. Those that are in the country, that are internationals that have come into our country. That ought to be done in a legal manner. So when they are in the country legally, they are also entitled to those equality provisions that are given to us in our Constitution. So what the Arya Samaj can do to promote that respect for all humans is, while we are aware and we do bring it to their attention that they may be in the country, whether legally or not, we are all people who are contributing towards the growth of, firstly, the economy, the growth of our society, and the commitment to having a just and equal society. So if we are able to explain to people that there's a difference between being in the country legally and being able to contribute to an economy or a country, they understand the differences between the two, I'm sure they will be able to understand that that respect comes irrespective of the reasoning that the people from the outside countries are in our country. I hope that that explains a little bit of what your question was asking. If not, I'm not sure if I could elaborate a little bit more.
I think that comment was and you have answered the comment, and you've made yes, if you are coming into any foreign country or you're going to any foreign country, obviously you have to have the necessary documentation that would allow you to enter as a legal citizen. And also, whilst you are there, even with your visas and work permits, then you are entitled to benefits and also to be living in that country with the same benefits as a normal citizen. And then obviously with time you can even apply for full citizenship. But unfortunately, I think, and we're not here to discuss this as a political problem from Africa, we do seem to have an influx coming to South Africa because South Africa seems to be one of the most stable countries, and also because of that and unemployment and dictatorships and violence in other countries, people will migrate to places where they feel secure and peaceful. South Africa was a haven, a safe haven for many people in the past, and this is why people came across our borders so easily, because the South African government also allowed people to come through post 94. But that's another debate. But I think you've also answered that question or that comment that if you come through legally, you are then treated equally as citizens in this country. Dear friends, we're coming towards the close of we have about 3 minutes or 2 minutes left. I must ask Prasheen to open up her camera so that we can all just see her once again. And we want to thank her for a well-researched presentation. She was able once again to be able to bring together the South African law, the constitution, and also was able to bring in our spiritual guidance through the Vedas and also the principles of the Arya Samaj. She was able to marry the both very well, and it also gives us a lot of food for thought. On behalf of Arya Samaj South Africa, Pandit Shireen, I would like to say to you, Prasheen, thank you very much for your wonderful presentation, and enjoy your TV games once again to de-stress. Okay. Okay. I think if we don't have any other comments, can we close off with, you can unmute if you want to say a last piece, if you want to say something, unmute. Okay.
No, nothing. Thank you. Thank you for affording me the opportunity. I hope I did justice to the topic, and yeah, thank you once again, and have a lovely, warm rest of the few days that we have. To everybody, stay warm and stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Prasheen. Thank you so much. Okay, we will conclude with the closing prayer. Let us all just focus on goodwill. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahe Tejasvina Vaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahe Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukhamapnuyat. Om Shantihi Shantihi Shantihi. Namaste to all our participants, and thank you for joining us and being with us this evening for a most wonderful and thought-provoking talk by Pandit Prasheen Singh. My namaste to you. Enjoy the rest of your evening and the rest of the week. Thank you.